Hello, I'm Cynthia Browne, and I'm a teacher at the Jennings Secondary School. I teach theatre arts and English literature. I am interested in film, having been in The Sweetest Mango back in 2000, and then Working Girl, as well as a few productions with Dr. Noel Howell and the Antigua Film Academy. Well, drama. The then Director of Education, Mrs. Pringle, when they had opened the NTTC, I was transitioning from the junior secondary school into the secondary program. And knowing that I was one of the teachers who would have been at NTTC, she encouraged me to teach drama and theatre there. And at the time, we weren't following the exact CXC program that's in place now. However, I was a member of the National Youth Theatre Company under the direction of Mr. Owen Jackson, and he coached me, encouraged me to do the theatre arts program, study it, and from there I was able to then become an official teacher of theatre arts. So that's how I got into drama itself. Wow. Okay. So I've dabbled in script writing, and I say dabbled. In no way would I consider myself a pro or even a skilled person. I always wrote as a child. I have a trunk at home full of my writing. Some were stories, few poems, and a few scripts. The process for me, it comes in various forms. Sometimes I'll be watching a movie or a show, or I'll hear a conversation and it sparks an idea. Sometimes I'll see a picture and I decide, oh, this is a story worth telling. Sometimes it's a song. And if there's a song that motivates me when I'm writing, I have this weird habit. I'll just play the song over and over and over for the entire time that I'm writing whatever the script or story is. In terms of what aspect I love being in front of the camera. It's interesting to be behind of it, but I realize I'm at more ease as an actress. However, of course, roles for persons like myself are somewhat limited. And so part of what I'd like to do is to create roles for myself. And for some odd reason, I tend not to write where I would have created a role for myself. So that's something I want to work on. But I actually like being in front of the camera. I think I have a lot to learn about directing. I've been observing persons like Courtney Boyd and Nigel Trellis and so on. They're directors that I've seen. And I like their style, but I think it's an art that you have to study, or it's a skill that you have to acquire, and I'm not quite there. With regards to script writing, I'm trying, but I lack discipline when it comes to committing that time to sit and really write out the script. Because I have like about 50 ideas running through my head for stories that I'd love to see the end result. But I lack the discipline to sit and write it. Okay, well, with regards to directing of plays, it all began with the Antigua and Barbuda National Secondary Theatre Arts Festival. Again, the brainchild of Mr. Owen Jackson and the Cultural Development Department. Every year or every other year, the secondary schools compete in a theatre festival, showcasing the Caribbean writers within the region, as well as the teachers may attempt writing. I have worked on a number of pieces since 2014, 2015, and not to be biased, I think my pieces were good, But I do believe it took time to develop, and I'm learning as I go along. I observe my competitors, especially Miss Errol, Miss Sarah Errol, Mr. Malik Mash, Mr. Jamian Benter. Of course, they all inspire me, and we learn from each other. I'd like to think we learn from each other. And with regards to directing my students, this year in particular, 2020, was an awesome year. I have a group of students, a drama group that I absolutely love. From my smallest little person, Tamia, to my eldest member, Dante, and all the lovely people in between. They're an awesome group. They're an amazing set of children. They really motivated me. And any successes that we had this year, I give it to my students because they were very dedicated. They were passionate about the performance. They sacrificed a lot. And they were actually very creative because they added to the piece. They brought ideas and perspectives that I think made our piece, Rituals, actually quite a success. Although we may not have won overall or a lot of prizes, I must say the audience and anybody who's viewing this who may have seen it, the audience definitely left enjoying themselves. I constantly meet persons on the road who commend me for the performance and commend the students. So it was quite a wonderful experience. The challenge for me, though, is that I am not formally trained, though I did the CXC course with regards to theater, Caribbean theater. I'm not formally trained like some persons who may have who've had their associates, their bachelors, and even their masters. And that makes the world of difference. But of course, thanks to YouTube and Google, you can get information to assist you. And with a great team like my students, I think that we can only get better. Unfortunately, COVID-19 and coronavirus suck. They really do suck because now that we have finally started to get the hang of things and we're all motivated and my kids are aching to get back on the stage and everything, along came COVID. So we've been halting the theater productions for a while, but hopefully we will start again. Idle Hands was inspired by semi-true events, and being a drama teacher, I was able to ask a number of my students to participate, and they willingly did so because it's the summer. They don't have anything to do. They don't really want to be at home because they want to avoid the chores, and they are motivated actors. At the last minute, I had to get one student. Luckily, she is a theater student, so she was able to fit into the role quite easily. And there were some challenges. Of course, finding set locations is always a problem. Props, the economical factors that affect filmmaking. Even a small piece as Idle Hands that's like 7-8 minutes long, economic factors do come into play. Well, Idle Hands is basically based on the saying what parents would tell us as children growing up, that idle hands are the devil's workshop, meaning if you don't keep yourself constructively busy, you may find yourself in mischief and getting into trouble. And so said the lead character, being motivated to get busy during the summer vacation, he decides to spend his time with friends, and they end up pilfering, stealing from someone. And of course, I like to use our Caribbean culture, our heritage in my stories. One part of our culture is Obia. Our belief in the dark arts, our belief in the rituals, and so I incorporated a little Obia into the story. I won't give out the entire plot, but I'm sure you can imagine when it comes to stealing an Obia, things can go awry. It's been a while, probably since the beginning. Well, no, the association, no. The association has been for about a year. But I've been around Dr. Noel and filmmakers for on and off from since 2000. I'm just a member for the Motion Picture Association, but I'm a member that they can call on if they need anything that is within my power to do. So I don't know if I'm considered a member at large, but I classify myself among a member at large. Yes, I have done a few pieces with Dr. Noel and the Film Academy since its inception. Um, I think I've done about 5 pieces in total. All of them were short pieces. One of these days, Dr. Noel Howell, you are going to do a full-length feature film with me. So yes, that's my aim. If not him, Courtney Boyd, Courtney, full-length feature film, please. Thank you. Well, the film industry, especially with everybody going virtual, we have YouTube, there's Netflix, Hulu, all these other sites that allow for persons to share films and whatever visual work that they may have. It's a great way that if we make films that tell not just the Antiguan story, because I'm not going to limit it to the Antiguan story. We are a Caribbean island with a wide diaspora of persons. We have persons coming from not even just the Caribbean, but we even have Asians and Americans and Europe. We have the whole pepper pot. We are a melting pot of cultures and nationalities. But in particular, our story, our Caribbean story, it needs to be told. Everybody has their story, and I think ours is worth hearing, and it's definitely worth telling. And so, film, you make your stories, situations, and because we're all humans, even though the culture may be different, the stories will inspire all of the various emotions that people feel. So it's a great way to expose our island, expose our talents through film. Oh my, there's so many things I think the government could do. It would be great, first of all, with regards to film, it would be great if the government could invest with regards to a location. Let me backtrack a bit. With regards to theater, as much as we use the Dean William Lake Center, and we're very grateful for the center because if it wasn't there, I'm not too sure where else we'd be using. But I think there should be a government-owned one where you can have several shows going on at once. The Dean William Lake Center only provides for one production in process at a time. If the government would invest in that, you'd find that maybe the theater would increase and by extension, film would increase. The ABS television, I do think that the national media should increase the amount of local things that they play in terms of local films. However, can't blame them if local films are being made. But once they're being made, it would be good to know that, okay, there's a channel that we can definitely offer these films to. And of course, promotions, advertisements, and so on for the films when they are made. The training too. I know recently they were increasing training for persons who want to go and study theater. I don't know if it's limited to theater or if it's the arts in general, but I think film should also be added on that scholarship list so that persons who are interested in studying the aspects of filmmaking can be given those scholarships too. And that would be something that I think the government can look into. With regard to the private sector, we have so many hotels And I, for one, I'm tired of making movies centered in one location. Um, we have several hotels where, especially during the off season, if they're not occupied, it would be nice for a hotel to offer up one of the rooms or a few rooms or an area that could be used as part of a set location, or even not if you don't want the rooms, because you may consider that we're drawing electricity or water, because at the end of the day everybody has bills to pay. The garden, the yards, all of these things, the private sector, we have some lovely private homes on island that would make lovely sets again. Understandable that persons aren't necessarily willing to have a crowd of people, of cast and crew invading their home, but consider for the greater good of the island. Going back to location and sets and so on, one of the biggest problems I think filmmakers have locally is the set. Simple as that, the set. Um, because having locations and so on do require money. All right, with regards to getting young people involved, we've already started with the theatre festival, and I think one of the prizes, Mr. Jackson in particular, I'm going to always speak about Mr. Jackson because it's his brainchild, that's his baby, and he was the motivation behind it all. He likes when every school has a best actor, best actress, and for instance, when they have to represent Antigua in the regional drama festival, he will pick the best actor, best actress from the schools. And I think one of the prizes for the festival could be that the individuals who get this could form the cast of a movie that involves teenagers. So it's almost like a buy into a movie for them. To me, that, and you hear, oh, I'm going to be in a movie. If I get best actor, best actress, I'm going to star in a movie. Of course, that would motivate writers because now they have a cast of people who need stories. And other ways to motivate children or to encourage children to take part would require some proper organization and planning. We cannot wait until the end of May when schools are having exams and everybody's focused about exams to send the notice that, oh, the Film Academy exists. That is something that needs to be advertised from early. And if you even have workshops during the various breaks, okay, not the Easter break, that's like 1 week, but the Christmas break, which is 3 weeks, and definitely the summer break for the 8 weeks holiday that kids are usually on, that's a great time to get them involved in the film industry. But it's something where you'd have to be showing them the final product, and they have to hear about it early. So don't wait until school is about to close and they are focused on exams, because even the teachers are not going to be promoting it, because teachers are going to be running up and down focusing on exams and getting reports done. How can they prepare for it with the COVID? Well, that's a very peculiar question, and I'm not sure that I have the solution. I know the other day when Noel had asked me to work on a script involving my students, I was very concerned about my children's safety. And so as much as I tried to follow the theme of what he was looking for and try to make it interesting, I also bore in mind that we are facing a COVID pandemic. And so I incorporated all of the protocols as much as possible. I mean, hand sanitizers, the mask, everything. So I guess right now, for the moment, filmmakers, and I guess in this case, script writers, playwrights, as well as authors, script writers, whoever they are, would have to temper their scripts to bear the situation in mind. Perhaps you may not write a script that has a huge crowd just because you don't want to have the gathering to worry about. You may try to write scripts that have a lot of outdoor scenes so that you're not confined in a space where the COVID may spread. So I think we have a responsibility as filmmakers to bear that in mind. And also, It's a great time for those who like to work on documentaries, to actually interview, film, speak with persons who have been greatly affected by COVID. So all films don't have to be action films and love stories and so on, but it's a great time for documentaries, telling people's stories. Because we here in the Caribbean, fortunately, we don't have the kind of numbers that the larger countries have, but we have been affected severely. So I think that's where the Motion Picture Association can look if they're going to be speaking about COVID and the pandemic, or if they're going to incorporate, or they have to consider these things. That's the only thing that comes to my mind, if that helps. All right. All right. You're